right, welcome back everybody. Today we are talking Polkadot, ticker DOT. We're going to be talking some recent macro news, overall crypto news, then dive into Polkadot news, then chat about chart analysis and price predictions to round out the video. So let's hop right in. First of all, the number one reason why we saw Bitcoin and a lot of other cryptos and the S&P 500, basically the entire market, why we saw that collapse here, maybe midway through the day, is because the Fed chairman Jerome Powell came out and essentially said that they're going to be more aggressive than the market expected on their rate hikes this year. So not only should the market expect a 50 basis hike in May, he expects this to continue throughout the year. And why this is so important, why that 50 basis point marker is so important, is because usually it's a 25 basis point hike. So the market expects a 25 basis point hike. When the Fed delivers something over that, that means that it's something the market didn't expect and the market reacts negatively. Generally speaking, since the beginning of, coming off of the gold standard back in the 1970s, essentially market growth and rising interest rates have been inversely correlated. So this kind of poses a big threat, not only to, crypto and the markets, but just overall growth in general over the next couple of years. So very, very important to keep an eye on that. Never fight the Fed is what most people say in investment. So the first thing I want to talk about now with that backdrop, first piece of Polkadot news I want to touch on is the incredible growth we're seeing across a lot of the different ecosystem coins and projects on Polkadot. So this is kind of looking back a week or so, tracking the growth in social engagement, social volume, and average sentiment, and we can see that there is just some crazy growth across these projects, which is great to see as more adoption comes in to the Polkadot ecosystem. The other thing I would note is that the biggest DEX for Polkadot Stella Swap has been listed on Hotbit, which is a big moment for that DEX. And then as well, the Japanese yen has actually been pegged JPYC to the Aster network, one of the biggest networks on the Polkadot ecosystem. So really, really exciting news there. We're seeing more and more dissemination and usage of Polkadot. The other thing I wanted to touch on is just how generous the staking rewards are, right? So not only, do we have it way above, projects like Avalanche, Algorand, Polygon, Solana, but it's a really, really, high yield coin, right? So 14%, you're talking about beating the S&P average for the last 40 years. So this is an incredible return, staking return. Obviously, I don't know if HBAR can maintain that 60%. That still remains to be seen, but it's nonetheless really impressive from Polkadot. The last update I want to share, a little bit technical for my brain. This might go over my head a little bit, but I'm going to do my best to explain it. Essentially, Polkadot is launching a messaging format called XCM, which is cross consensus, and this is going to be deployed here within the next month or so. And basically, the goal is to have it be a language that communicates ideas between consensus systems. So the idea is that it's supposed to be easier to communicate between Polkadot parachains, and then also between layer 1s and layer 2s. So between any sort of consensus system or ecosystem, it's supposed to be easier to communicate. And the main idea is that this is going to be a changing, very agile product, right? So it's going to be future-proof and forwards compatible with whatever Polkadot continues to work on. So watch out for XCM to be introduced within the month, and that should make some big waves for developers. Now that we have that out of the way, let's hop over to the charts. We don't have too much to cover here, so I'm going to go pretty quickly through the chart aspect, and then we're going to talk price as well. So most recently, we had, in this kind of last day or so, we had this big red candle, right? And as we talked before at the beginning of the video, we saw this across crypto. We saw this across the S&P 500, mainly because of that Chairman Powell announcement. But the bright side of that is even with that, red candle and kind of the struggles as of late in terms of price action, we're still holding up that long-term bullish structure on the chart. So we always love to see that. It would have been a little bit more, we would have sweated a little bit more if we had fallen below that 15.5 marker, but luckily we did not. What happened today is we got rejected by that 100-day moving average. At the same time, we had that negative news come out from the Fed. So it's really been an uphill battle lately, not only for Polkadot, but for all of crypto. As you can see here, essentially since, I'm going to pull up this rectangle just to show you guys, but essentially since the beginning of the year, we've kind of been in this, channel playing between 23.70, 23.50, and between $15 and $16, right? And that's been for about 3-4 months now, and we haven't seen much action out of that channel. So the next big, area to break is going to be that 23.70. It's a heavy resistance. We've been rejected twice there. So rejected here. We try to confirm it as support here, and we got that huge red candle on the day. And as you can see, that's going to be a tough point for Polkadot to break. On the bright side as well, we are looking pretty healthy on the RSI if we come down here and pull this up. So we're seeing some good fluctuation under the 50-point mark. If you watch this channel, you'll know that I'm kind of always looking at that 50 to 30 area, because this is usually where we consolidate in terms of RSI and then also consolidate in terms of the chart. So if you can see here, downward trend / consolidation. And then once we kind of break out of that consolidation, move above that moving average on the RSI, you can see obviously we head back to the upside. So I'm going to expect, especially with that Fed news, choppy waters. It's going to be volatile. We're going to hopefully play within this area, consolidate a little bit here. I don't see us breaking this channel for quite a while, especially with those interest rate hikes coming up. We might have, a couple of windows this year to get some growth, but it will be tough to have, an extremely, extremely parabolic year with a lot of these high market cap layer ones. That being said, I'm happy to hop into a little bit of price analysis here, and we can start talking some longer term price predictions. So essentially on the dot, you guys can probably already see this, that key resistance lines up with one of our Fibonacci's. That's the 236, and that's at 23.63. So, roughly 23.5 bucks. So that's kind of going to be our, short-term target. Right now, I'm really watching for, and I think the rectangle would be easier for this. That's the highlighter. So I'm watching for this kind of problem area for Polkadot. If we play in this channel and lose this $14 to $15 support, we're probably looking down back towards the $10 range. So I'm watching in terms of downside. I'm highly, highly vigilant on that area. In terms of upside, really we need to break that 23.50-ish mark right up here. And before we do that, we're not going to see any crazy parabolic movement from Polkadot. But I would also watch this kind of danger zone down here. That's where we could have a breakdown of the chart. So not only that first kind of level being important, obviously, I also think, obviously you're going to see a couple more fibs here. In my opinion, this 0.5 fib is one of the more critical. One, because you can see it's been a resistance before here. When we were kind of trying to come back up here, we got rejected, not only the 382, but at that half fib as well. So we've been rejected there before, and that's also where kind of this ultimate breakdown of the chart really started back in that first week of December when Bitcoin essentially collapsed overnight and fell by high percentage points. So we saw that collapse right around that half fib. You could argue the 618 fib. So I think this area up here is going to be one of the hardest to crack before going back to the all-time high. And obviously, don't get me wrong, we have other critical levels up past that. But to me, that half fib is going to be a big one, and we could see one of those big pumps, one of those big 15-20% pumps after we cross that. But in terms of short-term outlook, honestly, entire market is bearish, guys. I'm not going to, sugarcoat it. The Fed, really, you can't go against interest rates rising. It's almost always negative for the market, at least since the 1970s. So it's really hard to go against that trend. I think if we're being more realistic, we'll probably see consolidation to a consolidation downtrend, if not even more of a downtrend here in the future for a lot of crypto. But at the same time, if we take let's say this consolidation fractal back here and apply it to kind of what we're doing here currently, you can see that this would have us, at a $60, $65 Polkadot into 2023, early 2023. I even think that could be being a little too optimistic. It's really, really hard to know with the Fed raising rates. We could see some gaps of growth within the year between these rate hikes. It happens, about every 2 months, every 3 months. And so that is really the big question. Do we have enough gap of time in between these hikes for consumers to keep investing, right? And if you guys want me to do more of a video of a deep dive on the Fed, overall market, I think that's going to become more and more important, especially now because, ever since these layer ones have been around, it's been a really easy market to make money. And now we're starting to look more towards a recession than a bullish outlook. So definitely something to keep in mind. So short term, we need 2360. That's kind of our short-term goal. I think most likely we're going to kind of play in this larger channel for quite some time. We could go up and down between this channel for quite a while. And we may see a sit on top of this and we may slowly make our way back up, but I doubt that we're going to shoot right past that 382. We'd probably come up above this and consolidate again at the very most. So we're going to see a lot of consolidation coming up, I believe, for Polkadot, maybe a couple moves to the upside, but overall probably a consolidation, if not a downtrend. So coming up here, and I'll lower this RSI here really quick. I need to give obviously a longer term perspective, get out of that kind of negativity to end off the video. I want to, frame of mind, right? If we're looking super, super macro, super long term, if you hold on to a lot of these promising projects and they make it, you will see good returns in the long term, right? And so for a lot of those folks who are planning on holding, 3, 5, 10 years, I think eventually we could see an $186 Polkadot, and especially based on this fib retracement, I think, it's whether that's reasonable or not, that's opinion. Is that happening in 2022? Absolutely not. But in the next 5 years, definitely possible if Polkadot maintains its strength and sticks around. So that's what I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know what other projects you'd like me to cover in the comments, and leave a like if you got some value, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.